and welcome back to another episode of StarChasers, Girls Talk Ball. As you know, it's your girl Mickey. I got my girl Star here with me. So sorry we're late, guys. Look, this is what happens when two dope-ass women get together and start to talk sports, off camera. We just kind of got deep into the conversation. As we know, the big news today, of course, Evans being waived for whatever reason. We just kind of got in the conversation. But welcome to the chat, everybody. Star, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here with everybody tonight. As Mickey said, please forgive us because we are a little bit late, but that's okay because we here right now. So
right.
Before we get into the content, please like the video, please share the video, please subscribe to our YouTube channels as well, and follow us on social media. If you're on my page, I do have the links to all my social medias down below, and donate to my Cash App right there. Mickey, I don't know what your Cash App is, but you can put it on.
Actually, I gotta add that. Yeah, I keep forgetting to add that to my.
You can add it so y'all can donate.
$$ MPCox90.
Yeah, $P. What'd you say? Say that again?
Oh, MPCox90. I'll go ahead and put it in the chat for y'all.
Okay. But yeah, I'm super hyped to talk Cowboys football per usual. Talk about the Dolphins game.
Yeah.
Where we fell short, unfortunately. Wasn't what we wanted. What's up, Dak Owens Filthy? Glad to see you.
Hey, what's going on, fam? Stephen White in the building.
What's up, Stephen?
Kelvin Hicks, of course.
What's up, Kelvin? Kelvin, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. What's up, Niecy?
Yeah, Niecy, what's up? How you doing, sis? How you doing?
What's up, everybody? Glad to see y'all for sure. Thank you guys. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it.
Yeah. I mean, you pretty much, said it, Star. Like, there's just been, the Miami game, of course, not going the way we wanted. But, like we're talking about off camera, like, we weren't too disappointed with how our boys played. So the defense definitely stepped up, in a major way. A team like Miami, who we were, we're talking about the weapons they had, A-Chain, Mostert, Tyreek Hill, of course, he came in the game kind of banged up, but he still made some big catches, almost hit the 100-yard mark on us. So, he wasn't as effective as we, which was a good thing. He wasn't as effective as we thought, but we definitely, almost hit the 100-yard mark. He definitely made some catches on us. But us being able to hold, that kind of team to, I think it was 4 or 5 field goals, just one offensive touchdown. You know what I mean? It, like you just mentioned before we jumped on here, Star, it's kind of reminiscent of the Philly game where they didn't even allow an offensive touchdown. It was just one defensive touchdown that they were able to put up. So it was good to see this defense making those kind of stops, major stops, just, making an effect on the game. It kind of brings a different kind of, a different agility, a kind of energy to the game that also kind of suits with the offense.
Yep. And yeah, we limited just the stats, Raheem Mostert, we limited him to 46 yards. Devon A-Chain limited to 24 yards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tyreek Hill, he almost got 100 yards on us.
Right.
But, he was 99. Waddle, only 50 yards, and that was that deep catch, when they were in their own end zone. And then talk about that, sis, what you want to talk about, because I saw you posted it on X, and I retweeted it. We were talking about, how people be saying Dallas is soft, but
exactly, yeah, we see a lot of games, like, and even I know it was kind of, I think it was either right after the bye week when we played the Chargers. Justin Herbert, I know his hand was kind of banged up, going into that game, but he was banged up coming out of that game. I think their running back, I think Eckler, his name was, came out of that game a little bit banged up. We seen the Seahawks. I think Geno was out. I think the following week, after we played them. So
after we played Geno, he was out for 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we, there's kind of been a topic, amongst the nation, whether, I think we talked about it too, I think a couple of weeks ago on our show, about Dallas playing more physical. I think when they played, I don't think it was the Bills, but I think the team before that. But just seeing how they're able, our run game was more efficient. We saw Tony Pollard breaking through those tackles. Of course, we know Rico, he has those bursts, from time to time, but just, and also, just seeing the defense kind of make that impact as well, so, the Cowboys have always been kind of talk of being kind of a finesse team, them showing their physicality. We see these guys, we even saw after they played the 49ers, the following weeks they lost a lot of their guys.
That's 100% true. And I think I keep saying it's not that Dallas is a soft team or they're this finesse team. It's we're an undisciplined team,
right?
But we're not soft. And I think because of how people keep calling us soft, including the fans,
right,
is the reason why our players go out. Not the reason, but one of the reasons why our players go out and they're playing like wild men. They trying to win. I think we said it was weeks past. They're trying to win the physical battle. Like if we was having a street fight, they beat the crap.
Right. We saw. I don't mean to cut you off, but we talking about off camera, about some of our players being kind of known for penalties. They're kind of aggressive. They go out there wanting to make those big plays, trying to get the jump.
We have a lot of unnecessary roughness penalties.
Yeah.
I mean, the penalties they're a big deal, and it's a lot of them. And some of them you can't control, right? Like holding and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because everyone holds. It's just a matter of who gets caught,
or even like pass interference. It's kind of like interpretation up to the referee.
Right, pass interference. Right. But when it comes to these pre-snap penalties or the unnecessary roughness penalties,
right,
and majority of the penalties is on the defensive side of the ball. Now, Tyler Smith individually has more penalties than everybody because of the holding penalties, which a lot of those are BS. A lot of those are BS.
Exactly. A lot of them happen on scramble plays or when he's really just trying to take back.
It's like, dude, the penalty that they called on him when every time Dak gets a big scramble, it's always a freaking holding.
Exactly.
No matter what, it pisses me off. One of the
just like Big Game said, you can't even after a big play, you're almost looking
always
for the flag.
It's all how many we've had in the past few weeks we've had 2 to 3 touchdowns caught off the board because of freaking penalties. This is ridiculous. And then when you see what Tyler Smith, it's dude, is that a holding? He barely tugged his jersey.
Exactly.
When Dak scrambled out. And then literally, the holding that he got, it's Tyler Smith barely had his jersey, and then he let go so fast.
Yeah. And even before he had the hold, the guy was grabbing his jersey.
Exactly. So it's but right when Dak got outside the guy, he let him go so that he could pursue that, dude.
Right.
And it's even the commentators were like, is that really necessary to call? Come on, man. And it's y'all want to call all these penalties not to make this show about the officials because we got to control what we can control. But we have to also bring up that there is injustice going on against our team. Because the fact that Tyler Smith can get all these holdings, but y'all don't see all the holdings that happen to us.
Okay.
That last drive with Miami, half of our team was held.
Right, and blocking the back on Jay Lou. I didn't even see it until
no one called it. No one. This is what I'm saying. But if we had did that, y'all called on us and y'all. But at this point, some penalties you can control. False starts, lining up in the neutral zone, offsides, all of that stuff you can control.
Right.
And that's the stuff that the unnecessary roughness penalties, the fake.
We have to clean those up.
It has to get cleaned up. It is sad because after the game, Tyler Smith, he was unfortunately, we basically have to play perfect.
Yeah.
We cannot have any mistakes because things are getting called differently versus, and I'm yep, that's true. But y'all have to have that mindset. Not so much perfect that we need to be tense, but you need to pay attention to the details.
Exactly.
That's what we talked about, all the players, about how it's the details that is killing us in these big games. Because regardless of the penalties, it's not the ref's fault Hunter Luke dropped the ball at the one. It's not the ref's fault that Tony Pollard didn't race to the pylon.
Right.
Try to cut that. That's not the ref's fault.
He ran into the dude. Come on, bro.
It's not the ref's fault that you tried to rip A-Chain's head off Damone Clark at the end of the game. That's not the ref's fault. Now, some of the stuff, like I said, is your egregious calls. It puts us behind. Or it gives up free penalties. The penalty on Michael Parsons, I posted about that, right? I know many people said there's nothing he could have done about it. Do I think it should have been called? No. But in these games where you know, y'all have to know.
On the road.
You have to take that into account. It was the exact same thing that D-Law. We were about to have a 3 and out. They were going to kick a field goal.
Right.
And it's like, when you look at the film, first of all, Tua's a little guy, right? He's a little guy.
Exactly.
D-Law and Michael Parsons, they met Tua at the same time. When Tua gets, and I don't know if this is intentional or not, it just looks like what it looked like to me on film. It could be wrong, but I'm saying what I saw on film. When that play, Tua gets the ball out, D-Law kind of slows down, he crashes under.
Yeah, he went like low, like to try to just hit him under the
it's
arm.
Like he was there to go through Tua, but he did not go through Tua, and he probably was thinking, nah, let me not even hit him, bro, because they'll give it up. What did Micah do?
He went high, right?
Went into Tua, full force, and he extended his arm.
Exactly.
Like, if anything, Micah, now you can't stop. Micah's too fat. He's going full. But if anything, when you saw the ball come out, Micah, just bump Tua to the ground. Because then it's like, I didn't do it.
He froze up.
Froze up.
Let's see. We try to fix it, guys. 1 second, just bear with us.
StreamYard did this to me and Big James too. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think it did it last week too.
I don't know what are we doing. StreamYard, you keep messing up. We're gonna have to switch to another.
Will it let you refresh?
No, my stuff hella froze. It probably will let me
yeah, try it. See if you can go back out and come back in.
Okay, yes, let me I'll come back in.
Okay. But yeah, y'all, like we were just talking about before she jumped off here, like it's about, like, you had to kind of take those things into account. Like, you're the Cowboys, you're going into the game with the star on your helmet. So you just have to take some of these things where, not saying like Tyler would say, having to play perfect. Like, you don't have to think you have to play perfect, but some situations you got to know on a third down, like you said, that they're going into trying to kick a field goal. So yeah, I mean, and granted, you don't know that Micah doesn't know D-Law is coming at the same time, and vice versa. So what I think it was, like I was about to say, Micah kind of went high, D-Law went low, and it just looked worse than what it was because Tua reacted off of Micah's extended arm. Now, unfortunately, like he said, it is unfortunate that he did an extended arm and made it look worse than what it was. But those kind of hits are important, especially at that point in the game. Just like the week before with D-Law, it wasn't a tough hit; it should have been called. But him having that personal foul on Josh Allen, just another example on one of these third downs. You hate to kind of have to go in with some kind of precaution of how you hit the quarterback, quote unquote. But in these situations, that's just something you have to think about. So it's just unfortunate that sometimes, that these guys have to, just like Mike McCarthy mentioned in his press conference, like these guys deal with different stressors, a different environment. They're clearly put under a different magnifying glass, under different speculation. We see that they're held to a different standard. And, that's I don't know if you guys watched the Mike McCarthy show, but that's, that's part of his intro, like actually the type of standard the Cowboys are actually held to. I'm saying? It's different for them. And it's just unfortunate that they have to, and I'm not saying it affects their mental part of the game, but I'm sure it just has some kind of effect of how they play the game. And now, even going forward into playoffs, it may even affect their game even further now. Going against these teams. Granted, a home game next week. The week after that. Let me turn Star right quick. All right, you back? Yeah, my girl Star back.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
No, you good. I would just continue to talk about. You were just talking about. I was just talking about how Mike McCarthy mentioned in that press conference how the Cowboys are under different stressors. Like they're in a different environment. They're held to different standards. Like it's just like we always talk about.
It is.
And
it's a lot, and it's a lot for them to deal with mentally. And Dak talked about it today in his press conference, and he was like, "It's just we know that there's things that we experienced as vets, because he was like, you know, we try to teach the young guys that, because he was like about how, listen, there's no guarantees. The guys that you're in here with right now, you may not be here with them in 5 years. He's like, I talk to the young guys all the time about roster turnover. He was like, the only people that's here for when I was drafted is D-Law, Tyron Smith, and Zach Martin. That's it.
Exactly.
That's it. Like, you have to be locked into the moment now. He's like, we got to make sacrifices. You got to make sacrifices. You got to put in your all if you truly want to win a Super Bowl. And clearly some young guys, I know it gets discouraging for them, especially Micah. You know, it's discouraging. And on top of that, they're also privileged, because I forgot who says it. I think either Law, somebody says it, but they're like, I think it is Law. Law be like, Micah don't know what it is to not make the playoffs. This boy done made playoffs every single year. He don't know what it's like. Dak knows what it's like.
Right.
Tyron Smith knows what it's like. Zach Martin, DeMarcus Lawrence, they know what it's like. But these kids, they don't know. So it's like, you have to, when you're a Dallas Cowboy, you are held to a different standard. Some of those standards are wrong, and I don't fault Micah and them for speaking up about it. Like the way the media treats us. Speak up about that.
Yeah.
Your whole
that needed to be said, honestly. Like, at that point in time,
that needed to be said. I don't fault Micah for that at all, and I appreciate him doing that, because it kind of has. People won't say it, but it has gotten the media to back off a little bit.
Right.
Like,
Yes. Right. Yeah. Even prior to that, when he was bringing up the fact that Dak catches a lot. Like, why y'all taking treating my
right? Exactly. You see,
and it made people start saying, "Oh, well, let me actually speak
exactly, because we're on their butts now. Exactly, right? Because now it's like you're being exposed. So it's like, what's up, Chris? Thank you for being in touch. But yeah, it's like there's certain things that need to be spoken about, but there's some things, y'all, you know, follow Law Nation. He wrote a great article. It's on his page about we gotta control what we can control. That's what we was talking about. We have to control those unnecessary roughness, the precinct, all stuff. It's like, use that anger and aggression and put it on the field in your play.
Exactly.
We're trying to win the football game. We're not trying to win the fist fight. Win the football game. Continue to be physical. I like that our team is physical. I like that our team is out there legally. I don't want to say that because I'm not wishing people get hurt, but I like that our team is physical and they bring physicality. But you just
when I saw that, when I saw that hit that hooker laid on, I think it was Mostert in the red zone. He was going for the touchdown. I'm like, wow, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
that's what we need.
Kind of laid those hits, you know what I mean?
Exactly, that's what we need, and it's like, listen, it's the little things, like we said, that is killing us. If we could just hone in the details. Hone in. I know we've been saying this all year, but we've gotten better, right? I think just in the big moments, I think.
Yeah, and actually
they're jittery, but I do think Mike McCarthy is right. The fact that we have to go basically through this gauntlet of playoff games right before playoffs, that is huge.
Yeah,
because you're learning what it's like to play in these hostile environments, right? And you're also learning what not to do, right? Because you're losing.
Yeah.
So if I do this, we could be out of here. We could be gone.
Right.
So,
and just like you mentioned earlier, like we've definitely gotten better with. I don't want to say. What I will say is that. I will say we've gotten better with penalties, and I will go ahead and talk about that because we have gotten better with, like you just mentioned, the number. But now it's more so, like you said, the details. It's more down to the timing of the penalties, or even
right. Because we only got like 6 or 7 penalties. But you got
even against the Bill, I think we had like 5 or 6, but it was the personal fouls. It's the and like you said, even the holding calls. I think it was 5-10 yards. But when you have the personal fouls, the roughing the passer, that's interference. That's 15 yards.
Correct.
I mean, so that's
15 yards, face mask. But we can't continue to have those lining up off sides, which that stopped. Thank God.
Right.
Lining up off sides and stuff. That seems to have stopped. But we've lost some games because of that. It's like, we've got to be, if anything, you're losing games. It's like, this is, I mean, honestly, I hate to say it, but I think losing these games is for the best. And why do I say like, what? Now I'm only saying this. I'm not saying I don't want to lose any more games, but I think the games that we lost is for the best because I think imagine if they all this undisciplined and we win.
Right.
You won't care about the details as much.
Exactly.
Well, anyway, that's how a young person thinks. See, the Dax and the DeMarcus Lawrences, they know like that was not good. But the young people, we won. They don't.
Right.
It's y'all that you've gotta focus in because in the playoffs it's one and done.
And I'm glad you said that, Star, because that actually, I know I got like a show planned up, but I kind of want to take what you just said to kind of transfer, because you said when things are good, you're not paying attention to the details that you may not like. I think we can kind of transfer that. I'm not saying not just DQ, but certain people, like even McCarthy, like there's times, or even Dak, where he's doing so good, people may overlook, what the small details they are messing up. So like we like Kellen Moore, they were overlooking the things he was doing wrong because he had the number one offense, he had the numbers, he had showing that he could the yards. I know it was Dak throwing the ball, but he had the most passing yards, things like that. So it's like some people may overlook maybe what off camera we talked about how Rashaan Evans being cut and how DQ sometimes at first wasn't making those adjustments. We did see him make those adjustments these past couple of weeks. Just kind of like we just kind of talking about off camera, like them not necessarily putting the heat that we may want to see on DQ. Because his defense has been leading in pressures. His defense has been historical, these past couple of years, holding opponents under 20 points, for the first 6 weeks. You know what I mean? So, DQ has done great things, but, it may be
done great things, but he also deserves a crap ton of criticism that I don't think he's getting enough. And because he's not getting pressured enough. This is like Kellen Moore. Like, that's why I call him Dan Moore, because all the issues that Kellen Moore was causing, but nobody would ask him questions.
Right.
No one would say anything. They're just flying under the radar. It was only literally the new media, and then you had some people like Michael Lombardi, started to say like, this guy's a real freaking problem.
Yeah,
you started hearing the playmaker, and shout out to Boss Cowboys Sport, because he's the one who really put together the whole evidence file for why Kellen Moore was the problem. I mean, everybody talked. There was content creators talking about it, but nobody went as hard about it as Boss Cowboy Sport. So I do have to attribute that to him, because he was going hard about Kellen Moore is the problem. He's got to get out of here, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think that Dan Quinn or Dan Moore deserves that same type of fire and criticism.
Right.
Because, for instance, the whole Dan Quinn's whole view and his whole scheme, right?
Mm.
When you look through how why our run defense has waned and stuff like that. He's playing personnel out of position.
Mm-hmm.
He's not playing the proper run fits. It's like, you can't really stop the run in this package, Dan, so why are you in it?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You're trying to stop the run, having Micah at one tick. Like, what are we doing? You're trying to stop the run by having J-Ron Curse and Damone Clark, who's been getting got all year. Both of those players, no offense, I don't know if y'all were watching Damone and J-Ron Curse, but y'all been getting got. I got to be honest, you've been getting got all season. But you continue to roll them out instead of saying, okay, I'm going to make an adjustment. Let me try to put Mike in the middle of my field. Or I don't know. Let me try to see. Now he's gone, right? Rashaan Evans, he's gone now. Hopefully he can come back. Hopefully he clears waivers and he can come back. If he doesn't, we don't have him anymore. But us cutting him, just like we cut Jabril Cox, we cut Devin Harper. Now we cut Rashaan Evans. When we cut these guys, I don't understand why you would attribute that to Dan Quinn, because this is Dan Quinn's scheme. This is the year that we've carried all of these safeties. Why y'all think we're carrying all of these safeties? It's Dan Quinn and his scheme.
Right.
We're not cutting any safety. Even the ones on the practice, we don't have to cut practice squad, but all the safeties that are on our roster, we're not cutting them. We're not releasing them. Some of them don't even play, but we're like, nope, we keeping you.
And we just resigned too. And guaranteed a third on their contract this year.
Like Dan Quinn does not. His system and scheme does not value safeties because his base package is in a big nickel. That's our base package, big nickel, where you have 3 safeties on the field at all times.
Right.
Yeah, we don't have to go through. Y'all done seen the film in Buffalo and all that stuff about how we got ran through because our guys are too small. Is it that different? We can't run away at the end of the year, but we're close to clicking like each of the past. Is it that different? Well, first of all, we got 2 more games left, so I won't say that we can't win. Okay. Yeah. I will say with the run game, and I did want to talk about that, but I'll say that comment, Steven. But anyway, because we'll address that. But
yeah,
when it comes to, and I know there's a lot of people that believe that like this is just front office who just doesn't give a F about linebackers, and they're just basically committing malpractice and sabotaging themselves. But unfortunately, I just don't think something's just not adding up with it.
Right.
Because everything that the front office has done has been. I agree that the front office has done some very shady, excuse my language, but shit in the past. I agree with that. They've done some very shady stuff. They've set our team up for failure. The wide receiver by committee. We don't have to go through. We know all the stuff.
Right. Yeah.
To sabotage this. But this year, the front office is not trying to sabotage this team.
Right.
I don't believe that. Number one.
What's good, Tyrone? How you doing?
What's up, Tyrone? Number one, in the offseason, did the front office say we're just gonna choose our guys? You know what I'm saying? Like, think about this, guys. Did the front office say, "Oh, we're just gonna stick with our guys. We don't need Brandon Cooks because we got Jalen Tolbert"?
Right.
Did they say that? No. Did they say, "Oh, we don't need Stephon Gilmore"? And I hate when people try to bring up the compensation. Those players are. Stephon Gilmore and Brandon Cooks have flipped this roster around.
Right.
So let's stop trying. I don't care what Steven gave for him. I don't care if Steven gave us 7s for him. They came to our locker room and they changed our locker room around.
Right. On and off the field.
On and off the field.
Like, I mean, we really can't even go through one in the beginning of the season, we couldn't get through one player interview, a wide receiver or a cornerback, without them mentioning how somehow, some way that Cooks or Gilmore have impacted their diet, their style of play, their speed,
their how they play the game, the route running of the wide receivers.
Right.
I mean, go through and look at it. Go through. I'll probably try to post the link on my X page, but it's an account that posts every year. Every week, like the best route running in the league from that week. And CeeDee Lamb's on there, Brandon Cooks is on there, Jalen Tolbert is on there. Like these guys have emerged.
Jalen Tolbert is on there.
They have emerged because of Brandon Cooks. The corners, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our whole.
Mark Vanette second here right quick. How you doing?
So this power runner. Yeah, you would say that, but see, we found a solution to how we can fix our run game. One, we have been without Big Hank, which Big Hank helps our run game a lot. But we also figured out another way to help us scheme-wise, which is let's play on rundowns. Let's play Chauncey Ghost. Right? Let's play Micah at middle linebacker, right? So we figured out ways to how can we counter this? How can we we have all these pieces, how can we put them in the right position so that this isn't happening for us? That's why I was sad sorry, I'm kind of flipping around, but I was a little bit sad at the end of the game because regardless of how the Dolphins game went, the offense scored when they needed to, and we went up, and the defense couldn't get a stop.
Right.
You can put that on the face mask penalty of Damone Clark first, but you also got to put it on Dan Quinn. Why was Michael lined up at the edge when we knew all they were going to do was run the ball?
Right.
Why, when Stephon Gilmore went out, Dan Quinn said, let me put LaShawn right on Tyreek Hill 10 yards off the ball on a 3rd and short.
Who really hasn't seen the field this year. I mean, we even
what are we doing here? Are we trying to win the game or what?
Which is weird because didn't we see Izzy start last week when Hooker was out, or the week before when Hooker was out?
Izzy definitely played a lot of snaps last week, yet we don't see him. If anything, all you have to do is just flip Deron Bland to the other side, press up. We're on 3rd and short.
Please.
Press up, put a safety to Tyreek Hill's side, and we see what happens. But if you look at Tua's passing chart from Next Gen Stats, they dinked and dunked us all to death. Tua stayed on time all game because Dan Quinn, it was the lowest pressure rate that our D-line has ever put up under Dan Quinn. Tua was only pressured under like 20% of his snaps. Like,
wow.
We played that bend don't break defense because we were so scared to get got that we just played bend. And you can play bend don't break, but you gotta mix in some stuff. You gotta mix in a blitz here or there.
Exactly.
You gotta press up here or there. You can't just sit here and say, I'm just gonna let you get close as possible so that you can continue to kick 4 and 5 field goals.
Right. That's what we're talking about off camera. That's exactly what we're talking about off camera, guys. Like it's one thing when and that's one thing I want to, actually we need to go ahead and bring the show because we are kind of touch thing on some of the shows. It's kind of one thing, like instead of giving them that field position, like that's what I was mentioning earlier with Star, like that's how they're able to make all those conversions, those 3rd and 1s, those 3rd and 3s. You know what I'm saying?
We're just giving them cushion all day. And remember when I posted that clip, like Stephon Gilmore said, we can't play 3 yards off of them or 10 yards off of them on 3rd and short, and that's all we were doing. And I know we want to clap for the defense because we're like, oh, well, defense, y'all held this high octane, this high-powered offense to only 22 points.
Right.
That's good and all, but when the game was on the line and y'all needed to finish, y'all couldn't.
Right.
And that comes on Damone Clark making boneheaded mistakes, but also Dan Quinn, you didn't really put your personnel in the right position to win. That's the issue. That's the issue. That's my issue with Dan Quinn. That's why I think there needs to be more fire on Dan Quinn because there's little shit that he's doing that is causing us L's.
Right.
And he's liable to do that same stuff in the playoffs.
Right, exactly.
Like, stop looking at what Dan Quinn has done in years past and look at what he's doing. You see what y'all doing with the front office? Flip it. You see, y'all looking at what the front office did in the past and y'all saying that's what they're doing this year. But it's not adding up.
Right.
It's not adding up because if it was all about the draft picks playing and all of this type of stuff, exactly.
Cursed.
Exactly.
Of all
if it was about the draft picks playing, guys, our draft picks, our actual draft, not undrafted free agents, but our actual draft picks, guys, most of them is on the bench this year. We're only playing Mozzie and Luke Schoonmaker.
Right. You see, week after week, I'm not even surprised now. At first I was, but I'm not even surprised to see Deuce on the inactive list. I'm like, I think this Deuce is just going to be a stash. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know, but all of them, they've been on the bench. Like, it's not about, I know front office in the years past have done politics, right?
Right.
They've sabotaged the team in years past, but this is a year they're not sabotaging the team. Like, they've put the pieces together. They've given us the free agents. They tried to go out and get us another linebacker. He didn't choose us. He wanted someone else. He wanted to play for Philly. That's his prerogative. He was always going to go to Philly because he has that close relationship with Philly's coach.
Sirianni.
Yes, Sirianni.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when you looking at, you got to look at, I'm just trying to offer y'all a different perspective because I know a lot of people were pissed off at Rashaan Evans being cut because we're razor thin or bone thin at linebacker, right? I understand that. But y'all have to understand that look at years past. Have we ever had any? Why would if it's the front office and the front office wants the draft picks to play and they want the money to play, why isn't Michael Gallup playing?
Right. His snaps have gone down significantly.
Why did they sign Malik Hooker instead of just letting Izzy McCormick play? Malik Hooker is a free agent. Why is J-Ron Kurtz still on the field when you have Marquise Bell that could take his spot, which is your undrafted rookie free agent?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it is Dan Quinn and his scheme. He does not care about linebackers. He does not care to develop linebackers.
Right.
Like, that's just the bottom line. His scheme is safeties, and more safeties. Because if he really needed and invested in linebackers, we wouldn't have cut Harper and Jabril Cox and Rashawn Evans. We wouldn't have cut those guys. The front office drafted those guys. Will McClay went out and got those guys. So why would they say, oh, we're just going to cut them? If they really care about those draft picks, if it was all about the draft picks this year, why is most of our draft class on the bench this year? They can't get a snap.
Right.
They can't get a snap in. Fowler is playing. You don't see Junior Fehoko though.
At all. Like, and I want to see Fehoko, honestly. Kind of like, especially when Hankins went down. I want to
see Fehoko too.
You know what I'm saying? And he had, not saying he, went crazy in preseason, but he had some plays. And he was getting that backfield. He was having tackles for losses. So I was wondering why, he's had, and I remember seeing a tweet saying that, well, let's go, hopefully, let's go pick up, some, picked up in the weight room while he was on IR, this, that, and the third. I'm like, I know Fajoko's been picking up some things. Like, I'm just wondering why at all. Like you said, some of our draft picks, we want to see that.
Right, and they haven't gotten on the field at all.
Right.
At all. That don't, from years past, that's not a front office mindset.
Right.
So they're not doing that. They're not forcing draft picks this year. They're not forcing it. We said stop forcing Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup's gone. They said stop forcing the ball to Luke Shoemaker. He maybe gets a target again.
Right. And
no one's being forced.
Cook's more involved, and Cook's getting a touchdown. Cook's getting his yardage.
CD.
I was going to say that. Mm-hmm.
CD is getting targeted as our number one. Like, which I already gave my thoughts about, what happened, why did he ended up going. I can explain it right now quickly. What happened with CD, like, we were like, why didn't we target him in the second and third quarter? One, Mike answered it and Dak answered it. One, if you look at the second and third quarter, we had 2 drives where we started inside of our 6.
Exactly. I saw, go ahead and speak on that. I saw you tweeting that out too. I think it was you and DMB tweeting that out.
Yeah, so we had 2 drives that started inside of our 6, okay? So that's one, right? Now, one of the drives, we could have done one of the drives, we got lucky. Dak got a roughing the passer penalty. We got out of there, right?
Right.
But as well, what were we trying to stick with? Because I don't know if y'all are familiar, but Vic Fangio, right, is the defensive coordinator of the Dolphins. And first of all, I want y'all to know this Dolphins defense is elite. Ever since Jalen Ramsey came back, they're either number 1 or number 2 in the league.
Right.
This is an elite defense. This is a top of the line. Sorry, I'm putting my phone do not disturb. But this is a top of the line defense. Okay? Mm-hmm. So, and your quarterback, shout out to Skywalker Seal because he said this on his morning show. Dak is the only, him and Josh Allen. And granted, Josh Allen played this defense at the beginning of the season when a lot of defensive players were missing.
Right.
But only Dak and Josh Allen have been able to play well against that defense and not turn the ball over.
Mm-hmm.
What happened was, so field position, that affects your play calling. Mike McCarthy could have done a better job. He said he didn't do a great job at that time.
What's up, Bruce? How you doing, fam?
It's a dead word, Kelly Quinn. Kelly Quinn maybe should be I said dead more, but Kelly Quinn, whatever you want to call Bruce.
Right.
But even, okay, yeah, so field position, right? So
yeah.
Mike, also trying to stick with the run because, like I said, Vic Fangio, he created this special defense. Shout out to the OC from, Boss Cowboys Sport because he's the one who really. I mean, I didn't see other people talk about the Vic Fangio 60, and he did a video on this last year. So, about how, basically how difficult it is for you to pass on a cover 6 defense, right? Mm-hmm. Because a cover 6 defense is basically like half of the field is in cover 2, half of the field is in cover 4, cover 3, something like that. Mm-hmm. Could be wrong, but I think it's something like that, right? Mm-hmm. So on that defense, if you want to get them out of that defense, you also need to stick with the run. Remember what we said last week? Why didn't we stick with the run? Tony Pollard was doing so good.
Right, yes.
That's nothing. I don't know why, because if y'all look at it for the past 3-4 weeks, our running game has really started to catch a groove. Now, we're not a running team, but we started to be able to run efficiently because we started.
I think we had consecutive games where over 100 yards rushing.
Yeah, we started doing really well. Philly, I mean, we were using our tandem and everything. So it's like, but I have the answer. Well, why wouldn't we be able to run so great in this game? We were running inside zone. Yep. In Miami, linebackers are great at inside zone. They're great downhill thumper linebackers.
Linebacker.
The way that you attack Miami, running wise, is on the edges, which we didn't do much of that. I don't know why the coaches have completely removed outside zone from our scheme because we're actually pretty good at outside zone. That's one of the things that our offensive line is pretty good at. They've gotten better at the inside zone, but we also got to mix in outside zone because that's what Tony Pollard and stuff is better at. So
really, I think, was it the Seahawks game where they were attacking the inside and the edges? They were able to run on it?
It might have been, I can't remember, or it could have been the Philly game. One of those games.
Yeah, that week where everything kind of ran together.
Right. It's like we was really starting to pick it up. So I don't know why we haven't seen our toss plays, why we haven't started attacking the edges lately. I don't know what that's but that's fine. And I think Mike McCarthy really was just trying to, and also let me not forget penalties.
Especially
in the second and third quarter, we kept getting penalties on key drives. Yeah. We kept getting penalties. Like, that's another thing. So when you get penalties, you're knocking yourself 15. One play, Dak literally scrambled down to the 11. Penalty, we backed all the way in.
I was gonna say, we gotta give a little bit of credit to their special teams because their punter was getting that ball down there.
Right.
And their players being able to down the ball at the 1, at the 5.
The punter was flipping the field position. Their kicker, who's been ass all year.
Right. Was making
he was 6 of 16 on 50+ yard field goals before playing us. So that's also another thing. But another thing that was an issue is Miami. This is the main part. Where does CeeDee Lamb go? Mm-hmm. Miami switched up the defense. So at first they was playing man, they got cooked. Got cooked. CeeDee Lamb cooked them. Dak was like, "Oh, this is what y'all doing, cooked. You're cooked." So Vic Fangio said, "Oh, well, let me switch." He switched to his cover 6 defense. That's why you saw a lot, and that defense is built to bait quarterbacks. That's why you saw a lot. You can't see it from just watching the game view. That's why you saw Dak. It was like he'd be back to throw it. Then he'll pull it down, he'll start running. Because so many times, shout out to Skywalker still, shout out to Aisha Morrison, because they're like, y'all are not talking enough about Dak's performance.
Right.
Dak played at an extremely high level at this game because he could have gotten baited into multiple picks. And then on top of that, what's his name? Chuma Edoga happened. So, and Terrence still wasn't having a good game.
I think it was Jay Tuck who tweeted out, I think it was Patrick No-C Walker, where he said, strictly, your assignment is Nick Chubb and nothing else, bro. Like,
you would never. Nick Chubb is the best defensive lineman they have. So the fact that he looked Nick Chubb in the face and said,
Oh wait,
like,
no.
what are you doing?
I'm sorry, Bradley Chubb, not Nick Chubb.
Yeah, Bradley Chubb.
My bad. Sorry, yeah, Bradley Chubb. Oh, this was all due respect.
I don't know what the mental lapse. So that's another thing. What's in it? Shannon Sharp's burner account. He said, the fumble right from Hunter Lucy. Yeah, but then also there was a touchdown that could have got. Why didn't Dak get it? Because Chuma Edoga got beat like a drum. Literally, he let Bradley Chubb go free. As soon as Dak got to the back of his drop, he said, "Oh, gotta get out of here."
All right, he was gone. He said
he was gonna get his head. Yeah, it is too many shots.
Yeah.
But Dak was about to get his head blown off. So it's like that's why, guys. Like, it was a lot of competing.
Right, and just like we mentioned last week, Van Ginkel was getting through there too. I think Van Ginkel. That play where they trying to say, well, why didn't Dak throw it to CeeDee Lamb? It's like Michael Gilkin. I love you, Michael Gilkin. You're the GOAT. You always ask me the great question. Did you not see Van Ginkel jump the? If Dak had threw to CeeDee, that was gonna be a pick six. Like, are you? Yes, thank you.
Are you?
He led the team in tackles. Like Van Ginkel, just like you mentioned before,
he was everywhere. He was batting balls down. He was doing all of that stuff. So it's like, dog, like, look at the totality deep into the film so that you can understand what's going on. That corporate wants you to point out the difference between Chuma Edoga.
Like there was this like just seeing this, and I don't know if these were just like complete like blips by Chuma, or maybe like maybe he fell for the pass protection. Like he to go for the backer instead of Chubb. Like no C said, you just like someone like Chubb is in front of you. Like you can't blink.
People are saying, like you cannot. And people are saying, well, why do we need Matt Waletzko? Did y'all see Chuma last week?
Right.
You may need to get some tackle reinforcements in position. Now, granted, would I have cut Rashaan Evans? No. I probably would have cut like Peyton Hendershot or LaShawn Wright. Guys who are just like useless and they're not doing anything for our team. Like I would have cut them.
Right.
I wouldn't have cut Rashaan Evans, but obviously
we need
cutting.
Yeah.
We keep cutting linebackers and defensive tackles. I wonder why that is. Right. I wonder why Mozzie, who was literally ginormous, is now they're saying he may not even beat 300.
What? Oh my God.
Now, have y'all seen Mozzie? Why do y'all think he lost all that weight? Could it be because Dan Quinn emphasizes pass rushing over stopping the run?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do y'all think Jonathan Hankins, who this guy's not a sack guy, he's a plug. He's a one tech. He's getting sacks. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about it. Think about it. Like, there's gotta be.
I think it was a stat where they were saying Osa being double teamed, but I mean, I know granted Osa hasn't these past few weeks haven't been that big explosive player we've seen previously, but Osa being able to turn up. You know what I'm saying? But they always talk about Osa being undersized. You know what I mean? So we like having
Osa's extremely undersized. He's extremely undersized to be a one tech. Yeah. He's a 3 tech. He's a pass rushing DT. Yeah, he's slammed way down. Like, think about it. It's Dan Quinn and his scheme, just like it was Kellen Moore in his scheme. And Shannon, he said, I don't know if you saw, but Kurt Warner did a breakdown on third down offense. It was pretty abysmal. That play was super underrated. Exactly. Like Kurt Warner, he broke it down. I think Kurt Warner low-key liked that. So he gets infuriated because he sounded so frustrated, like in that video, like, he's like, where do you expect Dak to go? Where's the routes? Like, why are you having this guy crashing into this guy? Like, what is this? Like, you're making your quarterback look like he looked bad. Why is Dak doing this? It's like, well, when you look at the all 22, it's like, where does he go? What options does he have?
Exactly.
Then you got your tackle getting beat like a drum all game.
What's up, Choctaw? How you doing, fam?
Who was Lego Sanders?
Oh, Sanders, their kicker.
I mean, just crazy, but it's just like, at the end of the day, guys, like, Dan Quinn needs more heat because he's not making the proper adjustments. And we're allowing him to just like skate by. You know what I'm saying? It's like, for the defense, they did the best that they could. Hell no, this is supposed to be a tie. According to the stats. Now, somebody said that we've been like I don't know. I'm not a stat nerd, so
I said Lego is Deuce.
Oh, Lego Sanders is Deuce Vine. I don't know Lego Sanders, but whatever. But Deuce he's on sideline. Like, obviously, he did not have the. I think it was
he's gonna be there.
Or whatever. We'll have a plan for him next year. Unfortunately, Tony. That's one thing. If you want to be mad at the front office, you could be mad that they franchise tag Tony Pollard.
Right.
Like, there's some things to be mad at the front office about. But this whole Rashaan Evans and the linebackers and the safeties, like, that's not the front office.
Right.
That is Dan Quinn and his wizard. I want to be a wizard school. That's it. Yeah. Like, it is his fault. Yeah, the defense did do a good job, but did they finish? No, they didn't finish.
Right.
So at the end of the day, you let the team down, because like I said, these are playoffs. We're playing playoff games. We're not gonna. I know we're so spoiled and we're used to blowing everybody out, but unfortunately, in playoff games, when you're playing equal talent, you're not gonna blow them out. It's gonna be 2 games, 20-24, 17-20, 21-28. It's gonna be those tough games. You're not gonna really see a 3-34 or 40. Like, that's crazy in the playoffs.
Yeah. Right.
Playoffs,
that's where defense are beefed up, and that's when they step up. So that's when they're able to make those plays.
The best defenses.
That's why the mantra is defense travels, because you may, an offense may not be used to the
travels
or anything like that.
But the defense, you said right there. That's the key. What you said right there, Mickey. Defense travels. So this defense has to play better. I know y'all saw the 49ers versus Ravens game. Y'all see what that defense was doing? That's championship level of football, baby. Like, our defense in big games, we've gotten 1 turnover.
Right. That's another thing. With this one. We are losing the turnover battle. And that's what this defense, like, that's what I kind of spoke up earlier about, as far as being like having historical numbers. That's what they were known for. You're getting those turnovers. You say, so where are the turnovers?
In these bigger games, like, y'all can't get a turnover to save your life.
Right.
So it's like you can't do both. You can't not get a turnover, and then you gonna play you bend don't break defense, giving up yards and field goals and touchdowns.
Right, and stand on the field. Those long drives from the other team.
Right. That is a plan for a defense. It's like you're pretty much bottom of the league. Like, you're pretty much trash.
Right.
We don't have a trash defense. This defense needs to do more. This defense should be ahead of the offense. This is 3 years in. This is year 1 for this new offense that we have. This is year 1.
Right. I don't know about that. I'm not gonna say I disagree with you, Chris, because it says crucial stops are hard to come by now. They feel harder when you get into these upper echelon games. That's where the mentality kind of comes in. And me and Star kind of stepped up, kind of talked about this. By having the mentality, sometimes you got to take that. If you're a veteran,
it's a mentality.
Yeah, or if you're a second year guy, knowing that you may like you mentioned, Star, maybe having to play press on 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, because you don't want to give that room.
You can't be scared. You have to try to impact the game. We're not saying be reckless. No one was saying line up in man coverage all game against Miami. Of course not.
Right.
But you've got to mix it up. Like, if you want to beat these best high-octane offenses, you got to mix it up. That's my problem. They did the same thing that they did. Allen throws picks, Tua fumbles the ball. Those running backs with Miami, they fumble. Nothing. You see, when the defense actually came to play versus Philly, they forced 3 turnovers.
Exactly.
They played angry. First play,
they got all 3.
Right. First play, Lane Johnson's nose was bloody. When the defense plays as one and they play angry, no one can stop it.
And we even saw a good point, Star, because we even saw coming out in the second half, you could tell they were still mad about the penalty going into the locker room. the roughing the passer. So we saw Micah kind of coming out with that dominance. We saw D-Law kind of come out in the second half like
they came out on a different level, and that's great.
Right.
But you gotta you gotta play a full 4 quarters. It's not enough. It's not enough. You gotta do your part. When the game is online, you gotta do your part, and that's what I'm saying with this defense. We're babying the defense.
Right, exactly.
They did good enough. They did their job. Dan Quinn, he did a pretty good job.
Right. We just gotta play better. That's their mantra. We just gotta play better. We gotta make our tackles. You know what I mean?
And I'm tired of that. It's lame. It's lame. It's like get your head in the game, Dan. Make the proper adjustments when we need it, Dan. Like you're a coordinator. You're calling the plays, for God's sakes.
Right.
This isn't Madden. Like, it's not like it's just the computer just randomizing and putting the players in the game. Like, you decide who plays and who doesn't. And yeah, Mike McCarthy, did he call a perfect game? No, but at the end of the game, his offense went down and scored, and they did their job. That's playoff football. You got to do your job to the end, till the clock says 0.
Exactly.
Like, that's the point. Because if the defense, like, imagine if offense putting up all these points, right? But somehow the defense is giving up all these points and they come back. Then the defense gets a stop, and the offense is left with 2 minutes left, and they don't score. Then that would be on the offense, because it's like the defense did what they had to do. Like, you gotta play complementary football. You gotta.
We actually saw an example of that. I actually have listed here on the opening drive. And we kind of talked about that in previous shows, Star, where we wanted them to come out and be a better team, overall, really. But we kind of talked about the defense, having an opening drive, being able to stop the opposing team on the opening drive. And we saw that, that's one improvement I do want to, kind of mention. You kind of saw that really in the beginning of the game, being able to hold them to 3 points by them getting a touchdown. And then on the opening drive, after halftime, being able to keep them to a 3 and out. You know what I'm saying? That's something different we see. We usually see them see other teams score that first possession.
Yeah. And it's like, offense, we're going down, we're getting field goals, we would have had touchdowns, but we kept getting bonehead penalties at the wrong time. Chuma Doga's getting smoked at the wrong time. Like, all of that affected that. So it's not like the offense was doing, we had to go with the ebbs and the flows of the game, dog. Like, you both got to show up, right? Everybody's got to show up to the last second. Because if you don't, you lose. In the defense, I will tell you what Mike McCarthy is a master at. There is no coach that I know that can, when he needs to take minutes off the clock, there is no coach in the league better. Mm-hmm. I don't give a damn what you say. There is no offensive coordinator that's better than Mike McCarthy. He did exactly what he needed to do. They had it was a long, let me look at how long that drive was, but it was long.
I think it was 8 minutes, 8 to 9 minutes.
The defense was rested. What I'm trying to get a point. They was rested because that
Miami was left with like 3 minutes on the clock.
7 minutes and 39 seconds, and that's with commercial breaks and all of that between. So that defense was well rested. Right. Well rested.
Exactly. And that was his main point coming into the season, having the time for the defense to
rest. And y'all went out there and laid an egg.
Right.
At the last, it's sad. Y'all couldn't step up when y'all needed to. But that's like I said, I hate to say this, but I think these losses are needed because now you know what it feels like. Now you know
exactly.
Now you know.
I have about elementary football. He's doing his part. Now it's about Dan Quinn and those players doing their part.
Doing your part, making the adjustments.
Right.
Mike had to make the adjustments. Dak had to put the cape on. Him and CeeDee had to put the cape on. Dak almost got sacked. Dak's having to break out of. Dak did his job. Yep. Everybody did their job. Even Chuma did his job. When the game was on the line, he did his job.
Right.
Damone Clark, a face mask penalty. Dan Quinn, You know they gonna run the ball. You got Michael on that. Like, what are we doing? That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
But that's okay. These losses are good because now, when you're in this position, you know what to do and what not to do. You know what can get you bounce out of the playoffs and what can propel you forward. And look at, I mean, we kept Miami under 100 yards rushing. We kept the receivers under 100. All my keys of victory that I did with Big Game James, almost all of it came to fruition.
Right.
Besides, what did we not do? We didn't get no turnovers.
None.
And I said we can have 1 to 0 turnovers. Because your offense, sometimes fluky stuff just happens. Mm-hmm. Defense couldn't get 1 turnover. And that's really the game. Like, we wasn't able to get turnovers.
Right. And that's something that McCarthy really, I'm not going to say constantly mentions, but when we do have these losses, he does say that, they made one more play than us, or we let the play out on the field, or we could have did this. We, 1 or 2 possessions, we could have did this. Like it's always, like you said, it's down to these details now where you got to take advantage of that possession. You can't have that fumble at the 1 yard
That's
line.
why I was like, Dan Quinn, sprinkle in more blitzes, because maybe you can get to it and make a mistake. Maybe you can cause a fumble, mix it up. Don't let Tua just stay on schedule.
Exactly. Earlier in the game, I was thinking that Tua was just missing throws, but like you said, upon rewatch, or even
we was getting pressure. We was on his head. We needed more.
Exactly.
We needed more. Some plays, Dan Quinn, just sit in the house. Just sit in the house. Maybe you can get a tip pass pick like the Ravens did. Do something to try to generate turnovers. Sometimes you're not just gonna be able to push the ball out.
Right.
Try to generate a turnover. Try to bait the quarterback.
Because they're definitely not going to come to you. As we've seen in that Philly game, you can have 3 fumbles almost happen in your face, and the ball just may not bounce your way. So, you got to make that, and you got to make those impacts. You have to go out there and take it. Like,
that's the key word.
We got to have those critical plays. We got to have those
key word. You gotta, the defense. It's not enough to play not to lose.
Right. You
have to make an impact. The real good defenses get turnovers. They make an impact. They flip the game. That's what the real good defenses do. Yep. And we're not seeing, when we're playing all of these lesser teams, it's turnover galore. But when we're playing these top teams, we're not seeing it. Right. We had 1 turnover in the 49er game earlier this year, which put us in horrible field position. Okay, and then you had 3 turnovers in the Philly game. Yep. That's it. Like, we got to be better than that.
Yeah.
Defense has to be better. I don't care what no one say. The defense got to be better, and
they absolutely do. I don't think we've seen an interception since Deron Bland broke the
since we played Washington on Thanksgiving. Well over a month ago. You know what I mean? Since we've seen well over a month ago. Ever since we got to our gauntlet, besides the Philly game, nothing. Right. Nothing. Right. Exactly. And you had the 10-day span. You had the 10-day span to rest. I mean, and where they were able to get those fumbles. The offense is resting you. Like we do the long drives and everything. Like,
and that's one thing I want to mention about this game too. I didn't put it up on here, and then like you said, granted, it was a field position. They weren't able to start where they wanted to, but when they did have manageable field position, they had the long calculated drives to give you guys the rest.
Yep. They had the long calculated drives. They sure did.
And just like you mentioned, like the answer to the run game was because of field position. So you know that now that, like you said, I think we now are seeing that, like you said, when McCarthy making those adjustments, he's now seen that we didn't run that much against Buffalo, but we had an impactful run game. You know what I mean? But we couldn't because we fell behind. So even we stood.
Yep. So it's like exactly. And it's like Mike could do better scheme wise in the run game instead of running directly at the team strength. Right. But Mike McCarthy probably was like, hey, we ran straight through Philly. So why can't we do it? I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I need to look through every rundown versus Miami to see like what was going on.
Yeah.
But ultimately, and another thing is we wanted to talk about the difference between home and away games, and why Dak, why is like our offenses like these past couple of games kind of been stalling out.
Yeah.
And Dak said it today in his interview. Because they asked him, I think that was Jane Slater. She was like, "How do y'all counter the blueprint, right? The too high shell or the cover quarters, cover 4 quarters or the cover 6. Like, how do y'all counter that? How do y'all counter that when basically the defense is dropping 7 in the coverage?" And Dak was like, "Motion." So shout out to the new media saying like, well, reason why we've looked not too great is because we're running stagnant offense out there.
Right.
When you have those type of real smart, defensively sound defenses, if you play stagnant, if you run in stagnant routes, they're gonna eat that up all day.
Yep. Or you run everything out of shotgun, they're gonna know what you're gonna do.
When you motion CD though. That can, because the thing is, and Mike McDaniel said it. He said, "Well, you see, our defense is set up so that you can't get much information pre-snap.
Right.
How can we get that information pre-snap? Motion.
Yep.
Motion. Mike, you're watching this. You ever see this?
Right.
We've got to continue and keep up our motion in the big game. On the road, not on the road. I don't give a good goddamn. I don't care.
Right. I absolutely agree with you.
These teams are living to, they are scared of, I'm going to just say it. These teams are terrified of Dak Prescott. And the only way that they know they can truly stop Dak Prescott is keep him off the field, number one, with their offense.
Right.
Number two, by playing all these crazy coverages and fronts and doing all of this chaos, all of this stuff to try to make him to turn the ball over. That's what they're doing now, because that's pretty much the only way to limit this offense.
Right.
Because I do believe if the defense, instead of allowing Miami to have those long drives, if we could have had just like 1 or 2 more drives, we would have been able to put up more points and win the game.
Right. Exactly.
So
the defense is just gonna have to flip it now. Like they're gonna, like we talked about earlier, they're gonna have to get off the field. Like we saw earlier. What I will say, like I mentioned earlier, it did have a lot to do, like you said, with field possession, them only being 4 and 12 on third down. So they have to be better in that category. In order to get the defense more rest. But when the defense is out there, they gotta, like you said, they gotta go out there and make those big plays. That's one thing I want to see. Like
those big plays, exactly, and get that offense off the field. You cannot allow teams to keep your offense sidelined, which means you're gonna have to play a little bit more aggressively. Dan Quinn can't just play 5 yards off the ball and say, "Well, at least we got a field goal." Okay, they're winning. They're winning by doing that, because not only are they draining the clock out, but they're still getting points.
Exactly. It's one thing, and that is a great thing. It's amazing they were able to hold Miami to 5 field goals, but it's still points. They're still able to get in that field position.
Points. They still are on the field all day long.
Right. And getting the good initial field
in a
position.
rhythm. Go ahead. What you say?
No, I was just saying, and getting that good field position, because we see when we did down them in their own territory, they were 3 and out coming out at halftime. So maybe, of course, coming out at halftime, you can't really control because you're doing a kickoff. But on those punts, when we do punt, shout out to Brian Anger I have on here. His leg is still, doing very well. Able to,
one of the best in the game. Love Brian Anger.
Yes, I think that was huge. And granted, we haven't seen him a lot in these past weeks because our offense has been doing better things. But that's one thing I'm glad that we still have, like in our, kind of in our back pocket, able to kind of pin some of our opponents
Right.
down deep, but it kind of it's for nothing if the defense is allowing it to get out of that territory and get past midfield. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's for nothing if you're allowing the defense, if you're allowing that particular offense to move them in between the 20s.
Right. Exactly. And the defense has to do better. They've got to be better. You're not supposed to just be this middle of the road defense. Do better. He said front office needs their hands on these losses.
Explain to us what you mean by that, Choctaw. Yeah, let me know what you mean by that. I think you're saying the front office has their hands on these losses, but just kind of expound because I'm not sure what you mean.
Yeah, expound on that for us. But D-Law, shout out to DeMarcus Lawrence because he's the guy that shows up week in and week out.
Yeah, most definitely. And just like a side note, I love seeing his energy on the sideline, and I'm glad they were showing it during the game.
He was really like, and you could tell as the leaders.
Right.
We talked about keeping the energy up, continue to encourage, continue to stay in the game, continue to root on for your brothers. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to D-Law. Shout out to J-Lou for these past couple of weeks. He's just been playing the game of his life. Like he's just been playing lights out.
Yes, because every now and then we do see these kind of spark plays from J-Lou, but to see so many of them, not saying so many, but just to see more than one, you know what I'm saying, back to back in the game. Like we seen big plays from in the Niners game, but to see him kind of step up big in his past game, especially against this caliber of teams, that's huge.
So it's like some players are showing that like we're ready. We're ready for the moment. D-Law, right? I would even say Micah because Micah, the run, he was a huge part on why that Miami's running game wasn't able to get off.
Right.
Huge. We have a 4-3 linebacker just roaming around like it's incredible. Like it really.
Right, we talk about that on camera. Like you're the lion. Go ahead and roam and do your thing.
That's true, Shannon Sharp. You know, he does have more control, and I think on the road.
Yeah.
Mike is having more control, and that's fine if Mike wants to have more control. But Mike, we need you to motion. We need you to continue with the motion, especially when we're playing. Now, when we're playing like these man and people who just want to line up in man and cover 3, I mean, we can dissect that all day. But when they're playing these exotic coverages, like cover 6, cover 4 quarters, like you got to figure out how to get them out of that because we are a team that leads with the pass, not the run. So.
Another thing I'll put to that too is also, I mean, I'm sure it's obvious, but it's like the crowd noise too. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Zach Martin kind of mentioned on one of his phone calls that the here we go is kind of how the line gets ready to go. You know what I'm saying? Granted, I mean, of course, they're going to be on silent count without the crowd noise, but I'm sure
that was actually doing the here we go in Miami. So I think I think they decided like we can do it because we didn't have that many like false starts. Or whatever. I think it's just Mike McCarthy and his nervousness, to be honest. Mike does he gets a little bit nervous in these big games. And you can tell. And I'm a little bit concerned with that. So Mike deserves some heat too, because it's like, Mike, in these big games, you need to keep up this high-powered octane offense. You can't go stagnant. You can't go no motion. You can't go conservative, because conservative don't win games.
Right. Choctaw says, I'm saying like the non-play of Fowler, the cut of Evans after non-play, the no signing of Sue, the cut of Harper, etc. We kind of talked about that earlier. Choctaw actually we talked about how we
did. We addressed that earlier, Choctaw. So you can scroll back and hear our thoughts on what we think about that whole theory, but
the whole cutting Evans and everything, because we definitely have a different. Well, we just kind of have a different point of view and how we think that kind of trickled down. You know, just in our opinion from Dan Quinn. But like you said, you can rewind and just see our thoughts.
Yeah,
on that. And like you said, Choctaw. Yeah, D-Law is definitely having an all-pro season. He mentioned like back to back. You know, in weeks on end. Like
D-Law is ready. Players things that you can pull from this game is that the veterans are ready.
Bingo.
Dak Prescott, he's ready. He's ready to go. CeeDee Lamb, ready to go. Brandon Cooks, ready to go.
Right. And I'm actually glad you mentioned that, Star, because I seen a tweet by Todd Archer. I'm not gonna put it right now, but it was when one of McCarthy's pressers where he mentioned about they did like a 30-minute review of Miami, but he said it was more so for the young guys because he said that he felt there was a lot of things left on the field. So and Star, we talked about that earlier in the season about the young guys getting reps so that way they can be ready for moments like this, and we're actually seeing it.
We're seeing it. Jalen Tolbert, ready to go.
Yeah, that big catchy
maker, ready to go. These guys, there's guys that showed in this game about the Turpin. There's guys that showed in this game. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. Early in the game, Wanye, when he was able to block, I think most are out of bounds in the end zone.
That huge fourth down stop.
Huge.
Tried to throw a fade ball to Tyreek Hill. He covered him. Ready to go.
Right.
Micah, ready to go. J. Lou, D-Law. These are players, they're ready to go. Honestly, Osta.
Yep.
Hell, even Mozzie.
Yeah.
He's just ready to go. But there's some players, Damone Clark.
Step up. It's that time.
You got to. It's like, Damone, you've been starting all year, dog. Do we have to bench you in the playoffs? Because right now, that's what it's looking like. It's looking like you need to get benched. Right. And it needs to be Micah and Bell playing the position.
Yeah.
Curse as well. 100%. Step up, dog. Step up.
Yeah.
You ain't stepping up.
It's definitely that time. I don't want to keep looking in the backfield and seeing Curse. I'm not opposed to seeing Curse in coverage, but him.
That's another thing. Another thing, Nikki. Why? How many times do we gotta see Dono and Curse mess up in coverage before we realize they're not coverage safeties?
Right. And honestly, I don't want to discredit Bell, but he's not the greatest in coverage either. I think I see him get burnt this past game.
Bell is a hook the flat guy. He's a linebacker, but he's not really. You want him inside the box. You don't really want him out playing free safety, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
You want Izzy and Wanye playing free safety.
Yes.
Number two, stop having Curse and Dono back there. They're not coverage safety. That deep ball that Waddle got, you know what Dono's doing? He's looking in the backfield. You're supposed to be the deep safety so that if you try to get a deep shot, it's a pick. Like, please try. That's what cover two is for. Please try to throw it to the outside because I'm going to pick you off.
Right.
Dono's in the backfield. We already know Gilly is not going to keep up with Jalen Waddle's speed. There's not many cornerbacks in the league that can.
Right.
Like, this is what we're talking about with Dan Quinn. Like, he's not. We're being, just like Nikki said, we're being. What's it called?
Bamboozled.
Bamboozled, but what's it like? Tricked. We're being under Dan Quinn's spell.
Yes.
Kill him more.
Right.
Under his spell, we can't see the real problems. So we're like, but they limited it to five field goals. Remember what we said about Kilmore? Kilmore can't be bad. We're number one offense. There's no way he's bad.
Exactly.
It's the same thing y'all are doing with Dan Quinn.
Right. And even from the start of the season, like we mentioned earlier, the penalties have gone down, but from the beginning of the season, we saw a lot of the penalties on the defensive side of the ball.
It still is.
Right. Exactly.
Sam Williams or Dante Fowler literally leads the defense in penalties. Choctaw. Maybe that's something to address, bro. Like, those two are walking effing penalties.
Right.
Both of them. They can't not get a penalty. I said last week, I'm done with Sam Williams on special teams. He can't not get a penalty on special teams.
Right.
I'm done with it. Like, at some point, like, and that's what I said. It's not that these players don't respect Dan Quinn, but they don't here, Dan. Y'all think these players on the defensive side of the ball will be committing all these penalties with Jimmy Johnson? No, they would. Because if they would, they'd be benched or they'd be cut.
Right. Period.
Like, y'all aren't seeing, like, Dan Quinn don't have his players in the right position. He don't. Right. And if you're saying it doesn't matter, it does matter because it's actually causing us to lose games, unfortunately.
Yeah. And Chaco says, why is Sam playing special teams when he needs to be on edge? Him and Fowler. He has
a unique skill set, but he can't be trusted on special teams. So now we didn't see him doing no special team stuff, I don't think.
All right. Now I was gonna say that. We didn't see him, we saw him on defense, but we didn't see him on special teams after last week.
Fowler and Sam Williams are playing. They play. I think, and Sam Williams has been out snapping. What's his name? 92. Dorrance Armstrong. Everybody wants to see Sam. He's been out snapping Dorrance Armstrong. Those guys are playing. They're playing. Yeah. They're playing well. They're playing good enough.
Yeah.
Like, we have to. There's certain downs. There's only certain downs you can really get them on the field because our run package now is Chauncey, Jonathan Hankins or Mozzie, D-Law, Micah. It could be Micah D.A. or Micah Sam Williams.
Yeah.
And
every now and then throw Golston in there too as like a mix.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Golstons are like a part of our run package. So those guys are playing. They're getting playing time. Fowler is playing. Sam Slam is playing. Those guys are playing for sure. They're getting playing time. So they're not going to be starting over DeMarcus Lawrence or Micah on a pass down. They're not going to be starting versus the run because Chauncey's better. Like Chauncey is better than Sam Williams and Dorrance Armstrong and Dante Fowler at stopping the run. He's better than those. And Fowler to outsnap D-Law on passing downs like 3rd and long.
I'm not mad at D-Law. I'm not mad at D-Law playing snap.
Yeah, I'm not taking D-Law off the field.
Yeah. I'm not mad at yeah. Especially like we talk about how you playing recently or even really all year, but more recently, yeah.
I'm not taking it. D-Law to me is set in stone. Just like Michael. Like they come out for rest. But taking them off the field so that
right. And maybe now with and we talked about this off camera. I think we talked about the off camera star. Like now with Evans being gone, maybe they might put a Micah Moore linebacker, and maybe now Williams and Fowler will be snapping.
You do that too. Yeah,
but
maybe with Micah, with Micah playing more linebackers, then you can see more of Sam Williams. You can see more of Fowler because there wouldn't be such a log jam at edge.
Right. Exactly.
So that's another reason why I'm moving Micah to the middle. It also helps get our other elite pass rushers and stuff on the field.
Right. Speaking of Sam Williams, we saw he had a tackle for loss against Miami. He had a big tackle, I think, on the drive. I don't remember exactly what drive it was, but I think he made
a big stop in Buffalo. Yeah. He had the big stop on 3rd down in Buffalo, then did a stupid penalty. That's what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
He did a stupid special team penalty.
Exactly.
So it's just like with these guys, it's all about for these young guys focusing in. As Dak said, make the sacrifice. As Micah said, buy in, do what you gotta do so that on Sunday day you're not making these mistakes.
Right.
You're not making these mistakes. Because that's what it is. It's just a little mistake here, a little mistake here, a little mistake there. But we also need Dan Quinn put the players in the right position. Dan, like how hard is it? Put your personnel in the right position to succeed. Get Izzy on the field. Why isn't he playing? Why won't anybody in the media ask him why isn't he playing?
I don't get it. And it's crazy to say like the last time we see Izzy was in the playoff game against the Bucks and he turned up. That's the last time we seen him.
And that's what I'm saying. We focus so much on the log jam at edge, like Fowler and Sam Williams, who play. They play every single week. But we're not concerned about Curse.
Right.
Still being on the field over Wanye. You're not concerned over Curse still being on the field over Izzy McClellan. Like, that's a bigger thing that we should be talking about.
Right. Especially when we're seeing Curse lose big plays. And not just now against tight ends, wide receivers. You know what I mean? We can't.
Like, why is no one talking about that? I wonder why Curse is still on field. Favorites. It has nothing to do with front office. Front office don't give a peep about Curse. They didn't pay him. He's gone. They don't care about him. That's not front office. That's Dan Quinn. It's not front office. It's Dan Quinn.
Right.
I don't know why you can't see that. Like, the front office don't give him about Curse. That's Dan Quinn's guy. Dono, Dan Quinn's guy.
Yep.
He likes Wanye, but he'll have Wanye sitting on the bench
after making a huge play on fourth down, and then
go ahead and sit on the bench. Wanye, like that his
like
guy hurt
last week with Evans. He made a stop in the red zone.
Be on the field.
That's crazy, man. It's just
you got Donovan in coverage when. I don't know how many times he has to show you he's not the coverage. But see, that's his guys. See, Curse and Dono is Dan Quinn's guy. That's his guy. So they're going to be on the field. You see, if Mike McCarthy was pulling that crap and Michael Gallup was his guys, y'all be on Mike's head, right? Right.
Right. I mean, people. I mean, even myself included. But people are mad because we gave. I think it was a screenplay to Gallup this past game. We're like. And it's almost like every time we bring Gallup on the field, like when it's a good play, of course we celebrate. But it's like when it's a bad play, it's like
they don't want him to play at all. But they not worried. But see, y'all always worry about what Mike doing. Worry about what Dan Moore is doing.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Don't take the heat from Dan Moore and put it on Mike. Stop taking the heat from the penalties created on the defensive side of the ball and putting it on Mike. Stop taking Dan Quinn not knowing how to use his personnel that the front office gives him and putting it on the front office. Right. Question Dan Quinn. I know y'all love him because, we had the worst defense in the league and he revamped it. That's great. He did revamp
the players and he's the uncle and all that
he's
stuff.
The uncle and he wears backwards caps and he wears Jordans and y'all just think he's so cool. He's the guy. No, he is not. He is effing up. He's been effing up. And he needs to be called on the carpet. And stop saying, but at the end of the day, we know defense is going to show up. Did they show up on versus the Dolphins?
Right. How about the Bills?
Like, stop it. We just know.
We don't want to see what other teams. We don't want to see what the Niners have seen, what Philly has seen. We don't want to see 3 straight losses, especially when we know some of the answers to the problems that the reason that we're losing. And like you said, Star, if we want to shout out the best Cowboy sports, like you said, your voice matters, right? If we want to put out, what we think the answers are to these issues, if we want to put that heat on Dan Quinn's neck, we got to put these issues on the forefront and not explain, but just kind of
but point it out. Because if we be vocal about it, just like we was vocal about all the stuff Mike wasn't doing, it became fruition.
Right.
We're not being vocal about all the stuff that Dan Quinn's doing because we're too busy focused on it's on the front office. So he don't have to be held accountable.
Right, exactly.
And think about it like this. When it was because of the front office that Kellen Moore was here, we still was putting the heat on Kellen Moore because at the end of the day, he's the coach.
Exactly.
Stop letting Dan Quinn, if we can end this show anything, stop letting Dan Quinn off the hook. Because he will be the reason. Our defense can't get a stop. Our defense can't do it. He said, how many people are still saying it quit? No one.
Right, none.
In Dak we trust.
Man, exactly. It's going to in Dak we trust, exactly.
We cannot trust Dan. Stop. We cannot trust him.
Right. It's not till Longoria streams. I know you can't
talk about why we dropped Evans.
Yeah, I think we talked about that earlier.
Yeah, we did talk about that, Longoria. If you go to the beginning of the show, we talked about it. I mean, but
in the very beginning. We definitely could use more traditional linebackers, but just to give a quick point, like we said, we just don't think that. Like we actually just mentioned, like we don't think it's front office. We think that it was.
It's Dan Quinn and his scheme.
Right.
Like Dan Quinn does not care about linebackers. That's why he's gone out of here. Like they needed to fill a roster spot because we needed to be able to put let's go on the roster. Mm-hmm. And y'all have to know, like, they have these personnel meetings and everything with the coach.
Right.
So before they cut a player or whatever, like they obviously talk to the coaches about it. And like they're cutting players that aren't seeing the field.
Right.
Rashaan Evans was not seeing the field. Jabril Cox was not seeing the field for 2 years. Devin Harper not seeing the field. Big Bo not seeing the like they're cutting people that Dan Quinn does not use because we had an overload at that position. Me personally, would I have cut Evans? No, because I think we need more depth at that position.
Yeah, and I see people talk about that on Twitter, like it. And I seen this one guy post like, well, these Cowboys fans are acting like it's Micah that we lost, and like our perspective is that we're not trying to say this guy is Micah Parsons, but we're trying to say is the depth issue. Like we don't want to go, we don't want to face these.
It's a depth issue, right? Exactly. Right. Like it's a depth issue. Do I wish that he had got more snaps so that we could really get a better look at him? Yeah, but then Moore don't want him on the field.
Right.
I don't know, but what would front office have against? They signed Evans, and they signed him to the active roster. Like I don't know. They brought him here so that he could be used. Dan Quinn couldn't find no use for him, so he was cut. Dan Moore could not find use for him. That's just the bottom line.
Right. Shout out to Choctaw. He said when Evans was on the field, they couldn't run with Michael on edge. We saw that. Right. We saw it last week. I think
Evans was making plays. I thought he was making plays, but regardless of him making plays.
Right. And some people may use the excuse of, well, we saw unnecessary penalties from Evans. Well, he was still getting acclimated to the game. He was still getting game ready in those first couple, I guess weeks 8, 9.
Couple weeks, couple weeks or first,
what was gonna happen, but we haven't seen those penalties since. We've seen him making those tackle for losses. We've seen him in the backfield.
Like, if it was, I would only attribute this to front office if they weren't cutting their own draft picks in the same position. Like they're cutting draft picks in the same position. So if it was front office that wanted their draft picks to play over free agents, why would they cut their draft picks?
Right, 2 of them too, and really back to back. Cox didn't make he didn't make the 53, and they cut.
Not playing for Washington. I think Devin Harper gets minimal snaps. So I don't know, guys. Maybe it's just something we don't know. Have y'all ever even considered that as well? Maybe there's just something we don't know.
Right.
We don't know what Rashaan was doing in that locker room. We don't know if he was studying. Then you got the marijuana charge on top of that. So it's just like he was just on the fringe. And then you're doing something stupid. Not that we have anything against marijuana on this show, but it's like we're right before playoffs. You getting arrested? It's dumb. Like he did it to his own self. Like he may be back here on the practice squad, but obviously they said you're expendable. They cut you. Like I don't know. Yeah, I think he was making impact. But there's also people who say, I would love for a Koye or somebody, because I'm not going to I ain't going to lie to y'all. I'm not going to sit here and go find all of his few snaps he got and break it down. But for the Koye, if you're watching, or whoever, if y'all watching, break it down. Break down the snaps, because there's people who are saying he was trash.
Right.
I can't verify that, because, like I said, I got recency bias. I saw versus Buffalo, he wasn't trash.
Right.
But maybe he was trash in the previous games. I don't know.
Yeah. It's like she said, we get end on some kind of positive note. Hopefully, the coaches, have some kind of plan, and for the playoffs. Like Dan Quinn mentioned in his presser, Mike McCarthy likes to plan ahead for the future. He has that. He has that long view. So hopefully,
and they said we do have around this time of year, like we have a good evaluation of our young players, and so they can see, like, I think this guy's ready. I don't know what the plan is, but let's just see it. Let's see the plan first and then cry about it later if it doesn't work. At this point, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, at this point, we just gotta trust that the coaches have a plan. If it comes out they don't have a plan, we get ran through in the playoffs. Okay, then we could just get in an uproar and say, let's fire Mike and damn, we hate Jerry and all of this stuff. But until we see what actually happens, let's just cool.
Yeah, we definitely gotta let. Especially, we already have a spot in the playoffs, so it's really on from. It's really even whether we have, like Star said, whether we have Evans or not, it's really going to be down to these players to make these kind of plays on the field, especially in the playoffs going forward. Because whether you're the 2 seed, the 5 seed, the 3 seed, it's how you perform in the postseason. Like, everyone is 0-0.
Everybody's 0-0 in postseason. That's right. So the players, the young players, y'all are part of this roster. Y'all have to step up. You got it. Yeah.
All the snaps you had at the beginning of the season are like you say, are showing right now. How long have you guys been preparing for these moments? And that's what you've been preparing for.
Exactly. So they should be prepared in these moments. They know what it takes. They know what can get them sent home and what can get them to win games. Because we have won some games and we've lost some games. Right? In our gauntlet. So right now we're pretty much 2 for 2, right?
Right now,
we won Philly, we won Seahawks, we lost Buffalo, we lost the Dolphins. Mm-hmm. We have the opportunity to go 3-2 if we can beat the Detroit Lions.
Yep. And it's a home game, so and it's not going to be. I think I was listening to Talking Cowboys, and they were trying to. I think John Machota was, chatting with the rest of the guys about whether or not this can be a statement win, if you will. The Lions just clinched, for the first time in, I think, 30 years. Their division. They're coming in. Dan Campbell coming in. The Ring of Honor.
This is gonna be a real serious game.
Yeah.
Because the Lions always play us tough, regardless of what their record is, and they have way better personnel.
Yeah.
So this is a game that you want to win.
Right.
This is a game
they're gonna run at us. They're gonna run. Jahmyr Gibbs. Mm-hmm. I think his name is what is his name? Jameson Williams.
Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Right. Laporta.
Sam Laporta.
They have some guys.
Jahmyr Gibbs, and they've got they basically got the best offensive line in football.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be a game where this is another playoff game. This is a playoff game.
Yeah.
It will serve you best to put doubt in the heart of a team that you may have to face in the playoffs.
Right. Exactly.
So this is a huge team. The Dolphins and the Bills, it mattered, but not as much as this game. This is a conference game.
Exactly.
This is a team that you could face in the playoffs that could send your ass home.
Right. Exactly.
So this is very serious. So don't let anybody this is just the Lions. No, this is not the same old Lions. This is a very good team.
And they're gonna have fans in the building too. I heard Talking Cowboys that fans looking at this game as New Year's weekend. People traveling.
A lot of fans. I went to the Seahawks game. It was a lot of Seahawks fans. Like, it's gonna be a lot of Detroit Lions fans. The Detroit Lions fans are hyped. They ain't been to the playoffs in 30 years. Like, this is gonna be a serious game, a serious test. And y'all know every single team that plays us like it's the freaking Super Bowl. So you can nobody goes for it more on 4th down than Dan. We're gonna be on their defense. Gonna be under a lot of pressure. So if our defense stops this offense and we blow them out, that is something to hang your hat on. This is a top 5 offense.
I'm with you on that one.
This is a serious game, and I know their defense not great, right? Statistically, Well, we all know that was the kicker for the Dolphins great statistically.
Exactly.
We all know
play as physical. They will play as physical.
They're going to be looking to injure us. They play dirty. It does not matter. This is going to be a serious game. It doesn't matter if they get tore. They got tore. It does not matter. It's going to be a serious game. We got to bring our A game to beat this team. Because you think Dan Campbell ain't pumping them up? We beat them 2 years in a row.
Okay.
They're going to have all types of things. They're probably going to be throwing fake punts and fake this.
The Jets did it against us in week 2. Fake punt.
They go for it on exactly. They go for it on 4. They go for it 4 and 5, 4 and 6, 4 and 6.
Yeah, crazy 4th down situations.
They go for it.
In their own territory, and he's not scared to go for it in his own territory. So they're gonna have to look at it.
Exactly. So you better really. Dan Campbell not scared of nothing, and that team ain't scared of nothing. You think that team's scared of the Dallas Cowboys? They're not.
Right.
And they're going to be in there on their A game, because if they can take down the freaking Dallas Cowboys before playoffs, they know beating us would give them a huge momentum boost going into the playoffs.
Right. Exactly.
This is a serious game. Mike McCarthy said this is probably our most serious game of the year.
Thank you, Star.
And it's true. This is a very.
He thinks it's the biggest game of the year. He said that himself, y'all.
Especially because this is the end of the year. Like this is a conference rival.
Facts.
This is a huge game.
Right. And he was in that division for a year, so he's looking at it, in that manner too. He faced the Lions for years on end. You know what I'm saying? So he's gonna know that they're gonna face them.
And I ain't doing no score predictions, and we gonna blow them.
Right.
We're gonna have to see what's produced on the field. This is gonna be a very serious game, and I suggest y'all as the fans take it seriously. Not be scared, but take it seriously. And I hope our players are taking it seriously.
Yeah,
and Detroit is gonna bring everything they got in this game.
Exactly. One phrase I've heard before we get out of here. One phrase I've heard from some of our losses is that the game is a game of inches. So what I want this time around is for these guys to go into the game thinking that it's a game of inches. So way when you need
every single inch.
Exactly.
Execution. This is a game that's important for that. I'm trying to tell you, Detroit is a different breed. They're gonna come in there. They're gonna try to disrespect us in our own house. And I don't give a damn that we're 7-0 this year and we don't lose at home and we blow it. I don't care about all this past statistics. I don't care about none of that. Just like they kept saying, "Oh, this team doesn't lose back-to-back games," and I kept saying, "What does that mean?"
Right. And I came in on the Miami game with the same thought too. Well, they'll figure it out. They'll
figure it out. We don't lose. Nah, I never bought into it. I said, "Nah, bro, this is a serious opponent." So this ain't the Vikings.
Right. Do not think we're the Lions of prior years. Do not think it's the Lions who've been losing for 30 years. It's not the same team.
So you better come with your absolute A game, because those skill players are very, very nice. And if we beat the hell out of them, we should feel very proud of that win, because this isn't the same old lowly Lions. They won 1-16. Nah, dog. This is a playoff team, and this is actually a game where we're fighting for potential number 1 seed.
Exactly.
This game is huge for playoff seedings. Like, this is a huge game. So don't let anybody try to tell you, I'm not really worried about it. It's a big team.
They absolutely cannot sleep on this team coming into this week. So y'all, it don't matter by the time, y'all. We gave y'all a fire ass show tonight. Like, we
sure did.
Thank you to everybody that came through in the chat, in the comments, whether you're listening on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Thank you all for joining us on this Wednesday evening for Girls Talk Ball. Everybody that came through, Choctaw, Niecy, Shannon Sharp on both channels. JVB boy sneaking in, at the last second. What's up? How you doing?
Deck On's Filthy.
Yes, make sure you
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you guys so much. And let's just see what the team's got on Saturday. things are trending up. Like I said, there's a lot of our vets are ready. This is a game really to test the young guys.
Yes.
Step up, guys. It's time to step up. Y'all part of this roster. Y'all been playing all year. Thank you, Lindoria. Thank you. Let's
thank you, everybody.
This is the game of the young guys.
They making tacos.
I give you something, but this is a huge game for us.
Yes, it really
huge game.
is.
And honestly, playing the Commanders is gonna be huge too, because they done switch quarterbacks, and they're gonna be looking to embarrass us just like they did last year.
Right. They're coming off that same high, thinking it's the last game of the season. They ain't gonna be thinking again. We're away again. Hopefully these guys keep that same mentality. Just like don't be
can't let up. We got to be serious, and I would like to win these games so that we can get on a streak and going in hot.
Exactly. Exactly. Make sure I want the fellas to keep their foot on the gas, and like you said, just
put on the gas.
Keep playing with that aggressiveness. Keep playing with like we saw against Washington. Speaking of Washington, last time we played, we saw them come out aggressive. We saw them going down the field, going down the seams. Like, come on, like that, boys.
Yeah. Washington is the first team where they had a 300-yard passer and a 100-yard receiver.
Right.
And that was in our own house.
Right. So yeah, I definitely just hopefully we'll see. Now I won't say a different version of our boys, but hopefully just a more, like you said, more aggressive.
I do want to see a different version. We want to see a refined version. It's time to stop the mistakes. It's time to focus in on the details, and that's with the young players. Yeah. So do you think of it in the big games? Who was it that effed up? It wasn't the vets; it was the young players.
Yeah.
Or players in new roles like Tony Pollard.
Right.
It's time for us to step up. Step up or step out. Because I really do think if whoever F's up, I really do think this. Whoever F's up in these last two games, I don't think they're going to be on the field in playoffs.
Then they shouldn't be. So just like you said, us having this playoff experience before actually getting to the playoffs, it's going to show how you're going to react.
Yeah, it's going to show who's ready and who's not. And the coaches are going to have to make some hard decisions like, you ain't ready, you're going to be on the bench.
And even on these last two games, really, like you said earlier, started the gauntlet we've been through. Like, look at this 5-game, pretty much to the end of the season gauntlet, and just these players need to do kind of just an inner perspective of how they see themselves and what they've been doing those past few games, and take the good and most definitely just leave the bad. You know what I'm saying? We don't have time for the penalties, no mistakes. We definitely have to tighten up against these teams.
Tighten up, because that's what it's going to take, and play as a team. Don't play hero ball, play as a team. Play for your brothers on offense and defense.
Right.
And we should come out with the results that we want, because I do think personnel wise we are a better team than the Lions. Yeah. We are a better team than the Commanders. But personnel wise, I think we're better than the Bills. I think we're evenly matched with the Bills, evenly matched with Tua, with the Dolphins and stuff like that. So, but I said it on X, like if this team brings their A game like we know we can, we could defeat any team in the NFL. Yeah. But the players have to believe that, and they can't just believe it, but they have to put it. So we'll see what happens. But thank y'all so much.
Yes, thank everybody for joining us.
Yeah, please like, share, subscribe, donate, cash out.
Like, retweet us on Twitter. Trying to get our voices out there. Two very strong up and coming Cowboys content creators. Everybody for coming through. And thank you guys for your time. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out.
Peace.